Loomis is the world's leading trainer and competitor of reining horses. No other person has achieved his success. He has established both AQHA and NRHA records. He has won the prestigious NRHA Futurity 5 times. He has also won 7 world championship titles in reining at the World Quarter Horse Show. Bob Loomis has given lectures and demonstrated his training skills throughout the world. Video Horse World is proud to present the most famous reining horse trainer in the world, Bob Loomis.
Hello, I'm Bob Loomis, and today we're going to be covering the reining horse. The reining horse consists of 5 major maneuvers, being circles, lead change, turnaround, stop, and back up. Your circles and lead changes, I feel, are one category. Your turnaround is a second category. And as you turn around, your rollback is just a part of a turnaround. Your third category is stop and back up. As we train our horses, the circle is the foundation that sets a horse for a correct lead change. The back up shows the body suppleness and the suppleness of the mouth and helps you a lot in preparing a horse for a correct stop. Now we're going to talk about some of the equipment we use in the training and riding and showing of a reining horse. We use these splint boots. It's a very protective material with extra padding over the splint and the sesamoid bone and to protect the inside of the cannon bone. This is one type of skid boot I use. I use this on softer, mellower ground. If I'm going to get out on a track that's pretty bracy and the kind of ground that can really burn a horse, I'll use this heavier skid boot. This is a leather skid boot. It's a little tougher, a little ruggeder. When we get into the bitting, we start all of our young horses with an O-ring snaffle. With the O-ring snaffle, we use these German running reins quite a bit with our O-rings, where this just snaps onto the reins, and then this goes down between the legs and snaps to the cinch. But we really like this. You know, this part of it never connects with the horse unless he really sticks his nose out and over elevates and gets out of position. It really gets a horse, a colt, carrying its head correct and gets him much confidenter, much quicker. Then after we ride him in this for, I imagine, probably a minimum of 4 months, 5 months. And then we'll go into the 7-inch shank snaffle. When we go into this, I usually start using these drop nose bands. I use them very loose though. Never put a drop nose band on a horse snug. That will cause you more problems than it'll help you, but put them on loose so you can get a couple fingers between them and your horse's jaw. This is the 7-inch snaffle we use. I'd say probably 85% of our horse's training is in this bridle. We pretty well do most of our training in the O-ring and then this. They'll stay in this till the middle of the summer anyway. And when the horse is starting to get pretty broke and he's ready for a lot more finish, we usually do a grazing bit, or sometimes for an intermediate, we'll use this Billy Allen as an intermediate in between the 7-inch shank snaffle and the grazing bit. I probably use this grazing bit on 90% of the horses I show. The actual polish and finish before I go to the futurity is done in this. And this is the bit I'll show them in the futurity and the rest of their lives. Any horse that we've trained ourselves through the futurity program will comfortably go many years in this bit and feel better in it every year. Probably never need anything more. Now, this bit, we just use the mouthpiece like it is on our 4-year-old and older horses. On our 3-year-olds, when we first take a horse out of the snaffle or the loose jaw bit and put him into a grazer or a straighter bit with no break in the middle, no snaffle or anything, I always wrap that mouthpiece. We use it's a vet wrap, just 2 or 3 little wraps. And what this does is this colt's not used to packing a solid bit. And with a baby like that, you can bruise their bars or just bump their bars. And if they get just the slightest little bruise that you'll very notice, it'll cause them to be apprehensive in the face. And I've found that by just wrapping these 3-year-olds' mouthpieces with this little bit of rubber, it gets them into a grazing bit much quicker. They seem to be much softer, and it just works much better for me. They usually pack a rubber-wrapped bit their entire 3-year-old year. Some horses I'll take it off maybe a week before I go to the Congress. Some horses I won't take it off. I'll show them in it, just depending on the colt. Okay, that should cover tack and equipment. Other than saddles, I feel that saddles are of everybody's personal preference. The correct saddle to use is the one that fits you the best. Okay, these are the sliding plates we use. They're a 1-inch sliding plate. They're beveled at the toe, and then of course the nail holes are punched to fit each particular horse. But we use inchers on all of our horses, futurity horses, open horses, everything. It's pretty much the same shoe all the way through.
Bob Loomis places emphasis on the suppleness of the body and the poe as the foundation of the horse's training. He believes this is very important to the training process of your horse. Let's listen to Bob as he discusses this further.
The neck, the shoulder, the rib, or the hip. So if your horse is better one direction than the other, the direction that it's bad, something is stiff and out of place, or it wouldn't be showing through the face as a stiffness. So what these exercises amount to is suppling every working part. So right now he's putting the shoulder in, he's moving the shoulder in and tipping the horse's nose to the outside. These are all exercises that are very important to every horse we ride, that they're supple. There he's pushing the horse up in the bridle, asking him to back up, moving the hip off to the right a little, making sure that he's loose in the hips. There he's pushing the colt up into the bridle, walking forward, and moving him off to the left, making him move his belly and his rib off to the left and move off the right leg and the right rein. There he's backing him up, moving the hip off to the right again, and moving the shoulder over to the left. Okay, now he's moving the hip to the left, keeping the front end up, moving the hip off to the left, keeping the horse in the bridle at all times. At no time do you let a horse break through the bridle. Always have them in the bridle sweet, their face soft, and moving off your leg. There he's moving his hip off to the left, forward, and keeping the shoulder in the middle. Moving the hip off to the left in reverse. where you can move every working part of that horse's body with your legs and keep him in the bridle and sweet in the face. These little exercises like this will be the deciding factor in how successful all 5 maneuvers are. There, he's backing the colt up perfectly straight and just putting the whole drive line or putting the horse's whole spine straight and keeping his whole drive line in alignment. The only way a horse can learn to back straight or walk forward straight is if you have all of the working parts loose, where they move well from side to side. And there his colt went back real nice between the reins. There he's moving his front end off to the left, moving his back end off to the right, making the horse move off of the leg and the indirect rein. And at all times, he has the colt in the bridle nice. Never do we like to get rough on their faces. Just stay very soft, very light with the bridle reins, and just keep them moving off of everything. Always moving off a rein, always moving off of a leg with a light pressure. And sometimes if you have a stiffness or a problem, you have to work on it over and over and over until it gets soft and supple and gives. Hey, we always like to walk our horses when we come to the arena. We'll start the ride on every horse we ride during the day by walking them around. We never go to the pen or the track and start loping and turning and stopping and changing leads right off the bat. We always like to start a ride walking and teaching a horse to go to the track quietly, walk around, relax, walk him across the center of the pen, and really get him in a relaxed state of mind before we start schooling. Then after we feel that he's really moving very quietly and very relaxed, then we'll go ahead and start with some different maneuvers. Usually we start out circling. Okay, as we approach the center here, we'll go ahead and start him out in a right lead. Now, I never with these young horses like to scare them on a lead departure. As an end product, we want these horses to take a lead departure as effortless and easy as a futurity horse or as a pleasure horse. But through the summer, we'll get these lead departures just a little sharper all the time and getting them responding to them just a little quicker all the time. With the gallop, we like to always start a ride galloping them quiet, and we'll go no farther until we feel very confident that they're between the reins, moving off the rein, moving off the leg, guiding where we want them to guide, not pushing either direction. Like this colt, I'll lope some large circles, some small circles, fast circles, slow circles, and I'll lope round circles as we're coming to the center. Sometimes I'll lope him straight across the center and lope a D-shaped circle. Sometimes we'll lope off on an angle and then come back in the right lead again. This is teaching the young horse, or any horse for that matter, that when you leave a circle coming across the middle, you're not going to change leads. If you never leave a circle except when you're going to change leads, they're going to try to change leads every time you leave or change your course. But
if you go lope angles across the arena, lope D-shaped circles, and keep a horse guiding between the reins and thinking about guiding instead of maneuvers, you'll never have that problem. Here I'm going to lope him across the center of the pen on an angle, and then we're going to go back into a right lead. This is very important that you can leave that circle and lope a straightaway, lope an angle, and lope off with him staying in the relaxed, quiet state of mind. And here I'm going to bring him across the center. We're holding him with the left leg. We'll push him with the right leg and ask him to change leads. As he changed leads there, he never speed up, slowed down, or changed anything other than just responding to the leg and changing leads. As we're loping him here, we'll go ahead and chase him a little bit and speed up. When we chase a horse, we like to kind of sit up in the saddle a little bit and kind of chase them with the reins and speed up. We don't want to scare them. We don't want them to run hard. We just want them to speed up quietly and run a large, fast circle. And then when we want these horses to come back to a small, slow circle, we like to sit down, relax, drop our hand, and the horse will slow down and come under you. Here, we sit down, relax, and the horse comes back to you very quietly. And then go back and lope some more large, slow circles. Take him across the angle, across the pen, keeping him between the reins. He coming back into the left circle. These are all things that'll keep your young horse and your old horse as well confident, honest, and listening to you. There we'll lope him straight across the center in a D-shaped circle and then come back into the circle. We have this colt where he is absolutely not thinking about anything in the center of the arena except listening to the bridle reins and listening to you. There, we'll change leads on him again. We have the same good attitude. He come across and listened to the leg. It was a very relaxed maneuver, and this is what we like to see in our young horses. We like to see these horses do the different maneuvers in a very relaxed attitude, very confident, and the main thing is staying between the reins and listening to the rider. This is a 3-year-old filly that's in the 85 reigning futurity. We're loping some circles on her here. The main thing here is just keeping her guiding well, large, fast, small, slow. Same old thing. I can't put enough emphasis on circles and guiding and having the horse always listening to the rider. And it's very important that we take any of the anticipation out so these horses aren't trying to go somewhere where we're not trying to go. We really put a strong emphasis on guide, lope, circles, straightaways, loping these horses in angles across the arena, and just all summed up in one statement, guiding real well. That is the key factor to a reining horse that'll be consistent, solid, and win some money for you. That was a beautiful lead change there. He brought her across the center. She was sat up. Very nice. He held her with his inside leg. He pressed her with his, or he held her with his outside leg and pressed her with the inside leg, and she responded really nice. Come back into her circles on the left lead very quietly. There he's speeding her up and loping a larger, faster circle. Little speed control. She's galloping. She's speeded up. She's loping a nice, fast circle, but she's doing it very quietly, very relaxed. Okay, here he's dropping her head and letting her slow down. She's going to go ahead and slow down and hit a smaller, slower circle. Now leaving the smaller, slower circle, he'll make it a little larger and still in the very relaxed gait. Okay, we'll lope some more circles to the left. We'll use two hands, bring her across the center of the pin on an angle, really put her drive line in the correct position, and then bring her back in a left circle. The main thing here, we want her to go across the center of that pin with her drive line in a very correct position and ready for a lead change. There she come across good, give her head and come back into a left circle. Now this time we'll go ahead and we'll ask her to change. As we come across here, we'll go around once more. Okay, we asked her to change, and she didn't change front or back. Then she went about 4 or 5 strides and changed very nice. Never correct a horse for changing late. She never drug a lead. Everything was fine. She come across there, and she was late, but she changed. If you would have corrected or reprimanded her at that time, you would have scared her and could have started yourself a problem. Here we just put her up in the bridle and put her body back in correct position and had everything ready. We'll bring her back across again, and it was beautiful. She changed really pretty. So we had a very confident little session there. We got the mare moving off of our leg, listening to us, and never scared her. That's the main thing, is don't scare them. If you ever scare a horse in a lead change, you've caused yourself a problem that will be fun to fix. Where this way, everything's done in a relaxed attitude, in a relaxed atmosphere, you have no problems. All you have to do is just get everything in a correct alignment, and everything will work great. Like this filly is a very good leaded filly. It's just, he was just pushing on his leg there and wasn't moving off of it and wasn't listening.
She looked pretty circles. She had a gorgeous lead change here. On this left to right lead change, she wasn't listening. When she did change, she changed she changed correctly front and rear. She just didn't listen, but it gave us an opportunity to show how we handle that. That is something, when you come across there and ask a colt to change leads, and it doesn't change at all, it just doesn't hear you. This, I like this. If they're lead happy and dodging here and darting there, now this I worry very much about. But when a colt honestly comes across there and you ask it to change and it doesn't hear you, the way Dean handled that was perfect in my mind. He took a hold of the filly, he kept her very quiet, he never corrected her for it. That's what I call a desirable mistake when you're for a baby or a green horse. Then he come around there, he sacked the mare up perfect, got her in correct body position, cued her, changed beautifully. It was a very quiet, very confident maneuver, and definitely the way we handle our young horses. This is Oakyleo Selwyn. He was the world's champion last year, and I'll lope some circles on him to kind of demonstrate the way we would lope circles on an open horse, or the way we school the finished horse. It would kind of give you the difference between the first gelding I rode and this filly are two very nice futurity horses. And it'll show you the difference in the way we would ride or school a 3-year-old futurity horse versus a 5-year-old horse such as this that is more of the open caliber.
This horse will demonstrate what I feel the finished open horse should lope like: good lead departures, very quiet circles, loping the large fast circles very confidently, very quietly, and coming back on the small slow circles very loose, very quiet, and coming back in the small slow circles very willingly. And the attitude's so important here. Here he just pitch him some slack and sit down and relax, and he just falls down into his small slows very comfortable. This is after we've done all the work on the futurity horse and taught him to lope the angles and the straightaways and speed up and slow down. This is what we would like it to be as a finished product.
Okay, this is the finished product in circles and lead changes.
Okay, this is a 3-year-old futurity horse for the 85 futurity. He's just in the process of learning how to turn. We'll do a lot of suppling, keep him where he'll give and all of his working parts are loose. We'll work a lot of circles. Put him up in the bridle where he'll really get off that bridle, give his head, bend him to the left, stop, and then turn him to the right. Walk him off to the right, supple him, bend him to the right, push him up into that bridle. And then we'll stop and turn him to the left. Walk him forward first, and then let him get into his left turnaround comfortably. Walk him off on a circle. Keep him giving his head and guiding, supple, and listening and doing things quiet. Now we'll move his shoulder down to the right, move his hip out to the left. Put his shoulder down to the right and walk him in a reverse arc. Walk him in a reverse arc to the right, but holding the hip up, and then turn him. And walk him off. Keeping these colts supple, letting them turn flat and letting them turn straight. But yet we've got to keep them supple. If they get any one of the body parts locked up or stiff, it's going to cause a problem in your turn, and stiffnesses cause rough spots. You'll start losing the cadence in the front end and the softness and the desire to really turn flat. That's why at all times we keep these colts supple and giving to the leg, giving to the bridle, walk a lot of circles, bend them, keep the approaches, but let them turn straight. These colts cannot turn bent. You got to turn them with a neck rein, keep them supple, straighten them out, and let them turn. Okay, there he got in. His first few steps weren't smooth. He kind of smoothed himself out a little bit at the end. Don't ever school a horse when they're out of air. If a horse, whether you're turning, stopping, circling, whatever you're doing, if a horse runs out of air and he starts getting tired, always stop and fill him up on air. Schooling a horse that's blowing or breathing hard, he will soon lose the desire to try. A horse that's always full of air will always try. Okay, with this colt, we're going to do some reverse arcing, moving his shoulder to the right, lifting his hip up to the left, and then we'll stop him, walk him forward a step or two, and then turn him to the left. The main thing here is to get the rib cage lift up, teaching this horse to be supple both directions, but then giving him his head, letting him turn straight, and letting him lift his rib up on his own. If a horse gets down too low on the whole, like say when you're turning to the left, if the rib and the shoulder and everything falls down, you're not going to have your drive line correct to turn correct. They've got to hold their rib up but keep their shoulder straight and flatten out and turn. This little exercise here teaches a horse a lot about positioning himself. When you ask him to turn, it really helps him to position himself and really get himself in shape, where all you have to do is just touch him on the neck with a rein and ask him to turn. Move them forward causes them to be flat. If you're always moving these horses, they'll drop their head and get flat. If you're always pulling them back into a turn, they'll raise and elevate their front end and they won't be flat. So you always want to encourage a horse to move forward into a turn and flatten out. Okay, this is a 3-year-old futurity horse of mine we just did some circles and lead changes on. We're gonna, she's demonstrating some turnarounds. She's very flat, uses her front end very well. Speed is something with these turnarounds that we don't worry about with these 3-year-olds. Speed comes with confidence. As this horse's drive line gets correct, they learn how to use their front end and they get confident and solid and everything falls in place. Speed is something that just comes. It comes with time, it comes with confidence, and the horse getting comfortable in a turnaround. I think when a colt's at this stage of the game, like this little mare's turning very quiet, very confident, very correct, I think to start getting after her and really sparking and asking for a lot of speed, I think you'd lose some correctness. So our theory is let that turnaround just build the confidence and the correctness through the year, and by fall you'll have all the speed you want. You can just ask them just a little bit more, and I think you'll have all the speed you could ever want. In training a horse like this, if you want to maintain the correct mental attitude and everything, I think you need to be patient on the speed end of it in any maneuver. Let the confidence and the correctness build the speed for you. Okay, it's very important that when these colts are going to the fence, they go to the fence very quiet. They lope quietly. They approach the fence straight. And they stop square. If anything isn't right, or they're drifting to the left or drifting to the right or not going up into the fence square, we'll correct them after we're done stopping. Always walk them up there, let them sit a second, and then we'll correct or adjust any little thing that seems to not be perfectly straight or anything in the alignment that doesn't seem to be correct. Always stop, turn around, start up very slow, and really maintain this horse going up and down the middle of the pen quietly. Always loping up into the fence very straight and very square. The colt's going up there, he stops, he's very relaxed when he hits the end of the stop. He's not rushing or hurrying anywhere. This will help you a lot also when you're showing a horse. When you get in the arena and you run to a stop, they're not going to be dodging and darting. They're not loping towards a fence or a wall. There's nothing new or scary to them. Okay, now that we've fenced this colt, he's going up into the fence very quiet, very straight. He's in the bridle nice. He's not veering off either direction. Everything's very correct. Now we'll go ahead and stop him in the center once or twice. At the end of the stop, we let him stop, stand there. Move him off of the bridle. Okay, this is Sail Lynn again. He's a 5-year-old horse, and this is the way a 5-year-old horse should stop. Get in the ground very soft, use his front end very loose, hit the end of the stop very quiet. Go down the pin, rate his speed, not run till he's asked, and stop and hit the end of it very quiet and very relaxed, waiting for the next maneuver. Okay, this is another 3-year-old futurity horse we have for the 85 futurity. And we're gonna gallop him down there. This is the way I like to see a 3-year-old futurity horse stop in the middle of the summer. Just very soft, very relaxed, listening to the reins, getting into the ground with no scare. And one of the most important things is how he gets to that stop. I want to see this colt gallop quietly, turn around and go to the next stop in a slow lope, and never speed up towards that stop until the rider asks him. I don't like to see a horse chargey on their rundowns. When they start charging and running before you ask them to, I think you're asking for big trouble. The approach to that stop, it's very important that it's soft, controlled, and there's no speed involved in it that hasn't been asked for. That's very nice. I like to see a 3-year-old stop like that. This is a 3-year-old futurity horse for the 85 futurity. And with this colt, a lot of times we'll trot a little ways on an approach and then break into a lope real soft and teach these horses to really go to a stop soft, not wanting these horses to think, charge, or run in any way. Really get their minds mellow on that approach where they're softly but gaining speed all the way to that stop. Never braking and running hard, always just gradually building speed quietly. Here I stopped him, backed him up, pushed him up in the bridle, elevated him, lifted him up in front, backing him up, keeping him lifting. Never, when I back a horse, I never let a horse push their nose down into the bridle. Always, I like them to break and be soft in the pull, soft in the mouth, but I will never allow a horse to push their nose down into the bridle. I want their neck to come out of the body correctly, and the only thing I want to bend or give is the pull. When they start pushing their head down and dropping their head down on the approach to a stop, they'll start losing their front end motion and getting punchy. This colt's staying very elevated. I'm keeping this colt lifted up. There, I made him, his left side needed loosened up just a little bit, so I bumped it, moved it over, so that there was nothing blocking that bridle, so that when I take the slack out of the reins, everything gives. Okay, now we'll send him down the other direction. That was very nice. He stayed elevated. His front end movement was real sweet. There, he's giving his face. And he's backing up with cadence. That little push that we had just before looks like it's been removed pretty comfortably. There, and he's listening to the bridle. He's letting me slip into his face very slowly. I never like to take a hold of a horse fast on a stop. I like to say whoa and take the slack out of the reins very slowly and give that horse plenty of time to get in the ground. There, he's backing with cadence. When a horse is giving to the bridle, they'll back with cadence. When a horse is pushing on the bridle, their back up will be herky-jerky. You can do a lot of mouth fixing and a lot of the working body parts can be adjusted and fixed in the backup. I'll do most of my correcting after a stop. Okay, we never like to stop a colt in one spot on the track or in the arena every time we come to it. So I want to take this colt and just gallop him clear around the arena, free him up. He's loping very quiet, very soft. He's not looking for the spots where we've been stopping. I elevated him. As I approached the stop, the place on the track where I've stopped him 2 or 3 times, I lifted his front end up and galloped him on past it. He never sat up, but whenever a horse starts hunting a spot on the track, they'll dump their front end. And when I'm cleaning a horse up, if I think they're looking at one spot or something that maybe I've stopped a couple times, I'll elevate them, lift them up, and send them by it. Now here we'll just gallop him up there. Say, well, he was just a little quick on that approach. He jumped in that ground a little too hard, a little too quick, and it took the softness away. Now there, he got in real soft, and that's what we like to see. We don't want those quick, divey, punchy approaches. We want those horses to get in the ground very soft, very relaxed. There he's backing with cadence. He's there. We moved his shoulder over just a little bit. He dropped it down to the left just a little bit by just reaching up and tapping it and moving it over. This is what makes a horse stop smooth, is having all of those working parts soft and nothing pushing any direction. Everything's right in the middle, soft and giving. This is another 3-year-old Futurity horse for the 85 Futurity. Here again, we want to talk about the right approach to that run down, loping soft, getting in the ground soft, staying elevated, staying in the bridle, the drive line straight, all the things we've talked about. Now there she might have over-elevated just a hair going into that, and it wasn't really her, it was me. I was holding her out. Now here I'll let her drop down and use herself. This time I'm going to send her on down the track a little farther, and very nice. Giving to the bridle very well, moving off the bridle, using her pole nice, carrying her head in a nice position, always giving. Okay, speed control running to a stop is very important. We want a horse to leave very slow, very soft, and build speed when he's asked. There, when you send him, he builds speed. Stops very soft, give him his head. When they're back, there's no push in his face whatsoever. He's just strictly moving off the bridle and backing with a lot of cadence. There's no resistance at all. Always giving his face and always willing to go on. Okay, this horse is the horse that we've used through the tape. You've seen him in training as a colt, and this is the finished product in the arena at the 1985 NRHA Futurity. This colt's turnarounds very crisp. He's using his front legs well. He's using his hind legs very well. His position's very good. All of the basics and the foundation that we've worked on for the past year on this colt. Now we'll see what it looks like as a finished product in the arena. The colt's circles are very round. His large circles are fast. His
He comes down into a small circle and slows down very well. The speed control's good. His lead changes are very smooth, very pretty. He's speeding up again for his large fasts. Comes back for the small slow. This is where the foundation pays off. This is where all those hours and months of slow foundation, the body control, the suppleness, getting all the working parts soft. And here we go to the stops. The colt runs to the stops very clean. He runs very crisp, and he goes to the ground in one stride. This is where all of the fencing and the suppling and the softness really pays off. Okay, this colt bounds the turn, and he'll make way to his final stop. Okay, and here is the tail end of the run. The last thing in this run's a backup as the colt gives his head and displays a lot of mouth, a lot of give, and rattles back very quickly and very responsively. This is a very good way to finish a run.
In the 1984 AQHA World Championship show, Bob set a new record riding Oakley's Sail Wind. This is the run in which Bob set his record.
We hope you enjoy this film, and it can help you get as much enjoyment out of a reining horse as I have. If there's any time in the future that I can help you with your riding, training, or finding a horse, feel free to call us, contact us at any time. We always enjoy meeting new people. Thank you very much.